are HVAC manufacturers marketing to the wrong person? Most HVAC manufacturers market to contractors. They don't market to the end consumer. And in a lot of markets, it's the contractors themselves that control brand reputation. Is that a good or bad thing? I actually think that in some markets, it could be a good thing, but in a lot of markets, it's a bad thing. Now, why does any of this matter to you as the homeowner? So if you've caught this video and you're like, well, why should I even care? I'm gonna get into that in just a moment. But just to back up, I have some friends in other industries. So one industry in particular would be the car industry. And I'm not talking about some of these other brands that are starting to do things differently, but just the traditional way that cars have been sold for years upon years. A lot of owners of dealerships would sign on with a brand to sell that brand, but usually, even if there's some sort of co-op dollars or some sort of programs where they're able to market to the end consumer, a lot of manufacturers, car manufacturers, will still do some sort of marketing to the end consumer. So if you're watching, say, a college basketball game and you see a Toyota commercial come on, they are marketing to you. You're the end consumer. They're not marketing to the dealership. But in a lot of cases, not 100%, but in a lot of cases, a lot of the heating and air manufacturers are, instead of marketing to you, the homeowner, and putting on, say, a TV commercial or radio ad to say, hey, buy Trane, buy Carrier, buy Lennox, buy Daikin, whatever. Instead of them marketing to you directly, they usually have programs in place to entice the contractor to not just buy their product and sell their product to you, the end consumer, but in some cases, it's the contractor themselves that has their hand on the lever, deciding what marketing they're going to do to try to help their business the most, right? So even if there's some sort of co-op dollars from the manufacturer, the contractor still has to decide what they're going to do with those co-op dollars. Now, I do know there are some manufacturers that have some sort of control that they'll say to the contractor, well, if you want these co-op dollars and you want us to help pay for this, well, then you need to use this kind of verbiage. And it needs to say this or that with our brand in it. But you can't say this over here. So is that a bad thing? Again, I think in some cases it is. I think that, you as the end consumer at times could be being exposed to a brand one way, shape, or form without the manufacturer being able to tell you what's up. I remember sitting in a class years ago where one of the top manufacturers were saying in the class, well, hey, we have this proprietary technology that the US Navy has said this is really good technology right here. And I remember even raising my hand immediately in the class and saying, why haven't I ever heard this before? Why am I hearing this behind closed doors? Why is it my job to run around and tell homeowners this piece of advertising, if you will, this great thing about your product? Why is it not thrown out there more on TV commercials or radio ads, or at least something free like social media? And I don't know if I ever really got much of a straight answer on that. I'm sure they have their reasons or whatever. But ultimately, if you're a consumer, you're the homeowner, and you're buying a heating and air system, you're not getting the full lowdown, in my opinion. And I think that there is an argument to be made. I've said it in other videos that there's no one manufacturer, there's no one heating and air manufacturer that is the best in every single market across the United States. They just don't exist. The brand that I sell, I think is best in my market. They don't even exist in some markets, so it would be silly for me to say that they are best in every market. I've talked to friends of mine that won't sell a particular brand because they can't get good support for it. They can't get someone to answer the phone. Whereas me, that same brand, whether it's the one I sell or not, that same brand, I have somebody I can pick up the phone and call right now. I can get a part, whatever, and vice versa. So ultimately, why does any of this matter? If you're a homeowner and you're watching this video and you're just trying to figure out, well, what's the big deal? Why does this even matter? I think that the biggest thing with all of this is if there was a product, for example, so if brand X came out with a product and it is the product, it's the game changer, it's the one that is going to change the industry, but they decide that they're only going to market it to their existing dealers, They're going to send it out to their contractors, and who, oh, by the way, let's be honest, the majority of those contractors, if it's something new, they're not going to want to sell it anyway. And so there becomes a gatekeeper there. There's a wall there that even if you're an end consumer that would love to have that great, amazing product that came out, you don't even know it exists because the contractor between the two is deciding what you will or won't see when it comes to that product or that brand. There are products on the market today that if you were to go to your local contractor and say, hey, I see that you sell that brand and I found this product, I want that product. I have people that notify us all the time on the new HVAC guide. They'll say, hey Josh, I saw your video on the Daikin Fit, for example, or the Daikin VRV Life, and I really want one, but I can't find anybody. There's Daikin dealers in our local area, but I can't find anybody to put them in. And it's not just Daikin. I've heard that from Carrier guys. I've heard that from Train guys. I've heard that from Lennox guys, that there are contractors in their area. They won't sell the Hossier stuff. They think it's snake oil, or they think that the savings isn't there, or they think whatever it is they think, and the end consumer can't even get that product because they can't find anyone willing to put it in. So you might say, well, Josh, it sounds to me like the manufacturers are making a mistake there. I think that if I was the manufacturer, I would say to the end consumer, hey, here's what I got. Here's all these amazing products. You should tell your contractor, this is what I want. The problem there still goes back to that contractor can still say no, and it's not just that one contractor. It could be all the contractors in that area. So even if you're the end consumer and you find out about this amazing product, you want it, and you call everyone, you call them all in your market, you may simply not find anyone that is willing to put it in. But let's get off of that. Let's get off of this whole, if an amazing product comes off. I think the other thing that lies in all this is I think that there is also an argument to be made that this may be why some contractors may not install certain brands or equipment because of how they're being marketed to directly. So I can tell you for myself personally, I used to sell one brand years ago, and I had another brand say, I see all the issues you're having there. We can fix those, and you sell our equipment. And that happens every day. There are contractors that switch brands for one reason or another. And hopefully the goal would be that they're switching brands for the right reasons, that they're switching brands to get a better product or better support for you, for the homeowner. I know that's not always the case. So all that said, I think the moral of the story, the silver lining, if you will, in this video would be because you're not being marketed to directly. So a lot of you homeowners are hearing a brand for the first time, for example, or you've had a contractor come in your house and tell you about some new product or something that they're excited about, and they think it would be a good idea for you to check out. Ultimately, the silver lining is you just need to realize you're being marketed to by the contractor, good or bad. I think in some cases that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. And as long as you understand that and you go online and you do your homework and you do all the things that you should as a good consumer, you should be fine. All that said, you got a big decision in front of you. If you are in the market for a heating and air system, take your time making that decision. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.